Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Spiritual Grind. We hope you enjoy it, and don't forget to follow, hit the little bell for your notifications when the podcast is posted, and like, follow, and share with your friends. We hope you enjoy it. Leave a comment if there's any topics that you want us to speak about.
Like, follow, share.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jenny. Yes, it is. We are back in doing a podcast today.
Back in studio.
Yeah, we got to stay our first night in our new motorcoach last night.
Yeah, the bed is amazing.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Kind of like camping out at home.
It was very nice.
It was
We added some pillow toppers and some memory foam to the bed. Quite heavenly.
It is quite nice. It's like floating on air.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a king-size airbed, though, so that kind of helps.
Right. But I feel like those two pieces we added
Oh, yeah.
put it way over the top.
Way over the top.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like I want to sleep on it all the time. Probably the best night's sleep I've gotten in a long time.
Is it?
Yeah.
It was quite nice.
Just so you know, I'm about to recreate that in our apartment.
Okay. I'm okay with that. Whatever.
I get tired of waking up sore.
Yeah, I know. I agree. And I think the coolest part about it all was the peacefulness out there. It was like quiet. There was no energy. It was just like we were the only people in the world all night.
Yeah, I agree.
It was fun.
It was like a little clubhouse.
Yeah. When we get in this little banter, does it remind you of that Saturday Night Live skit with that lady? She's like, oh, we just agreed with everybody. I can't remember what that was. Like, yeah, I know. Yeah. I can't remember that skit, but I'll have to look it up now. I'm curious. But anyway, so here's my topic of the day. And this is something that's been happening over the last few days. It is, how do we handle as human beings living spiritually when people view us as eccentric, over the top, like we don't do anything small, and like they try to make it negative, but when it's in our mind, it's not a negative. And so it's about empowering thought more than anything, about how do we teach people to empower their thought?
You mean us, us meaning you and me?
Yeah, you and I.
People do that to us.
Yes.
Okay.
And not saying that it's, I mean, they look at it as a negative, like we had one person say, well, I would expect less from you. I wouldn't expect any less from you guys because you all are always over the top. And I was like, what's wrong with that in your mind? That's what I said. What is wrong with that in your mind? He goes, what did he say? I wish I could learn to think that way and allow myself to think that, or to be that way. And my return to that is I kind of walked away from it feeling like, man, he just like passed judgment on me. And in the same sentence, tried to be envious just to recover his own realization of his comment, I think.
I mean, you know, like any other topic, I would first say, why did it bug you?
Yeah, it's not that it bugged me. It was more about the fact of why did that just happen? And why do I continuously have to justify my actions to people when in reality I shouldn't have to?
Right. But again, I would say, why does that bug you? Why do you feel like you have to justify your actions first and foremost? Because it's nobody's business what you do, and their opinion of what and how you're doing it should really not make a big fat bleep.
You know, because it's like the human race.
Wow, you're gonna skirt right.
No. I'm continuing with it because I agree with you. I do have a part in it because on the opposite side of that, it's like there's nobody that is in that realm with us, and so it's either I would expect no less of you because you all live grandiose and da 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 da, and then the other side of it is you hear all the stories and the horror stories about owning a motor coach, And I don't know how many times in the last 4 or 5 days I was like not having that conversation, and I'm walking away.
Right.
And it's like, why cannot people fathom and bring into their reality an empowered thought to where they can live as grandiose as they want without being envious of others? And why it bothered me is because of my previous experience with my change of career, so to speak. I don't really want to talk about it on the radio, but when I decided to change career because I'd become what I own, not who I am.
Yeah.
And I remember that happening to me a lot. I've been checking into why it bothered me. That's not because that happened to me a lot. Well, why do you have the big house? And why do you did it? And you're just like, at one point you're like, I just started saying, because I can, but how do we first of all address those issues in a spiritual manner that maybe teach people how to empower their own thought?
Well, the first part of that would be you can't empower somebody who doesn't want to be empowered.
Agreed.
All you can do is live your life as pure and as close to your authentic self as you can in a way that is setting an example of what the potential can be for somebody else.
Okay.
So basically, once you check in with what bugged you about it, so it's serving two purposes. That experience or those chain of experiences for you are serving a couple of different purposes. One, if it's bugging you on your emotional guidance scale, there's obviously something for you more to look at, which we've already established, and you're doing so because it shouldn't bother you.
Agreed.
Who cares what they think?
Agreed.
They're just not there yet. And if they choose to not be there, then that is ultimately their choice. And your best choice within it is A, either not to talk about it, or B, walk away whenever those kinds of things come up, because you're basically testing yourself to see if you have changed
from the previous experience.
That's why, right.
Yeah.
That's why you're bringing it back into your reality through these characters.
And here's the weird part about it, because back in the day, I often asked myself, why do I do it myself? And the reason why I did it back then is because it made me feel good, and it made me feel like I was doing something for others that was selfless. And for me now, it's more about, you know what? I'm doing it for me.
That's right.
And I don't care what anybody thinks, but it makes me feel so good to live the way I'm living. I want others to want to feel that good. And I want to impress it. It's kind of like what we do for a living. I don't have to work hard at what I do in our part of the job, because the people out there, they do it for me, because they too feel so good that they want to share it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the other part of that, the second chapter of those experiences coming into your bubble, and this is for everybody, when you're whole and complete, you are in service to others, not because you have to, but because it feels good, and you want to set an example of the possibilities that are out there.
Yes.
And that's what you're doing. It doesn't matter how they perceive it or how they view it. They then get to see that, okay, well, if he can do it, so can I. And you'll have some that will take that and embrace it and run with it.
Yeah.
And they'll make some changes.
Yes.
You'll have some that can't. They're just not there. But you can't make anybody do anything. That's the base, bottom line, universal rule of thumb. All you can do is put the vibrational frequency out there, show how to do it, and that it can be done through your actions.
Yeah.
Of always doing the most exciting and joyful thing for yourself, no matter how ostentatious it seems, or large or big or over the top it seems to others. But what you're doing basically is you're showing them on a non-visible, see it and believe it wavelength kind of.
Yeah.
You're showing them how to match up with the frequency of that reality if they choose to go on that journey. But then because we are somewhat still of a I'll believe it when I see it kind of community, you are then showing them that, look, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to live life literally large.
Yeah.
I am going to go all the way. I'm going to go all in because I can, and it makes me happy, and for no other reason but because I can.
Yeah. And
then they will watch you behave and act and take action, and they'll take action if they're ready on whatever scale or whatever level or however big they're able to, which will then help them come out of their box. But if they're not there yet, then you will have the naysayers and you will have the negative people that will look at it because they're just not there yet. And you can't make anybody do anything, honestly.
I completely agree with all of that. And yesterday when I was out doing the headlight restoration on the motorcoach, I was out there thinking about all this and
which turned out beautiful, by the way.
Didn't it? It turned out great. In case y'all didn't know, you can restore your headlights if they get cloudy from oxidation. All you have to do is use 800, 1500, and 3000 grit wet sandpaper. You want to use the 600, the 800, and the 1500. Those are wet. And then you use a 3000 grit dry sandpaper.
Yeah.
And you want to do that at high RPMs. And the rest of them, you want to do it about medium RPMs, around 600 to 800. And then the dry with 3000, you want to do that on a higher RPM and buff the whole thing out. Then go down to AutoZone and get you some plastic restorer that's clear, and it'll bring your headlights right back to new.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's very cool to watch.
But anyway, so there was another.
You should have done a YouTube video. We gotta remember things like that.
Yeah, I will. I'll start doing them on the stuff. Like probably do one on, because I have come up with a better idea for the diamond removal.
Yeah, so we bought this motorhome and it needs a little TLC, just a little bit. It actually was in
incredibly good shape. It is a 2016 with only 10,000 miles.
Yeah.
And the generator only had 107 hours on it.
Yeah, it's pretty
We have put more on the generator since we bought it than they had.
Well, that's the way we did with the jet skis, remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. We bought those with 24 hours on them, or 21 hours.
They had only like 20-something hours on them.
And they were 7 years old. But anyway, so when I was out there working on it, I was kind of checking in with this because there was another person different from the original person I'm talking about that came out there, that we have affected his life in a very positive manner. But he does it in a different way than we do. I'll talk about it. He went out and bought this fancy lifelong dream car, and he had somebody else restore it instead of doing it himself. And then yesterday when I was out doing the headlight restoration, he said, "I'll bring my truck around here and let you do mine too." I'm like, "Well, how about you bring your truck around here and I show you how to do it?"
Yeah.
And it kind of reflected back to me like, oh, okay, I get it. A little bit of it now. People want to live that way, but they're lazy within it. And I'm not saying that he was being lazy by offering to bring his truck. I'm just saying that when we work on ourselves in life and growing our spiritualism and growing who we are as a person and becoming more positive internally and understanding that our life is only us and creating a world that we want intentionally, we can't do that sitting on our ass. We have to work.
Well, so you got to be careful with that, because if it's not that person's joy and excitement to do it, but they want the outcome of it, it's perfectly okay to pay somebody to do something like that, or put forth the expense of hiring somebody to do something so that you can enjoy the joy out of it. There's nothing wrong with that. If it's not something that, I mean, like for you to go out there and do that, it was the process that you enjoyed.
Oh, I love working with my hands. And so that's my meditation.
With the outcome of the process.
Yeah.
You enjoyed every step of that, from going to get the stuff to coming home, working through the steps. That was an enjoyment thing to
Agreed.
you. And then the outcome was phenomenal, and you enjoyed that as well. For some people, they're not into exploring the process, and they don't get enjoyment out of the process, but they want the outcome.
Yeah.
And so passing a comment off like it's lazy,
right? Well,
is kind of judgmental and not really.
Well,
right,
I guess what I'm trying to say,
what we're teaching is find your joy, find your excitement, find your happiness, and follow that trail. And if that's not what he finds is exciting, is to walk through that process, and that's not part of what he was meant to do, but he still wants the outcome, it's perfectly okay to find joy and excitement and paying somebody to go and do it, and still enjoying the outcome of it as part of experiencing your highest joy.
Oh, I agree with that. I guess what I'm trying to say is when we self-reflect and we have internal turmoil or internal turmoil.
That tickled my funny bone.
Or that internal battle with ourselves, because when you truly want something, I think that's part of the reason we have so many weird things in our human experience these days, is when people really want something. Back in the day when you and I were growing up, we would just go get it and work our tails off to get there and do it. And whatever it took, we were committed, and we would get it done. And, you know, the different, I don't even know what you call it. You and
I would.
Right.
But not everybody, even back in the day.
Right.
Our generation was like that. Still.
I agree. I agree with you. But what I guess where I'm going with this is, back in the day, we grew up committed to, if there's something we wanted, we figured out how to get it. And something that we wanted to be, we figured out how to do it. And as we grow up, I realized that there's so many different people, even in our age group. As we get older, they want certain things, but they don't know how to get there. And for your teaching, like for me, example, like I told him, I said, how about you go get your truck and I'll teach you how to do it. And he just kind of smiled at me. But I guess what I'm trying to say is the realization that not everybody does it like that was more of that yesterday for me. But if you really want it, what are you willing to do for it?
You got to be careful with that one as well.
I know I'm going to need you to quit correcting me today.
I'm not correcting you. I'm just reminding and keeping on how the universe works so that you don't fall into a trap.
Right. No, I agree. I'm not saying that.
Well, stop being a baby.
I'm not being a baby.
Cue the bottle. Cue the sippy cup.
Listen.
I feel like you need a sound button that's like a baby sucking a bottle.
I don't have that many buttons. I only have 6.
Oh, you need more buttons.
I can't put every sound in the world on here.
Of course you can.
But
I know there's a way.
Well, I guess I do have other pages too. I actually have 4 pages, so I could do 24 sound.
See, that's more than
I can't do 24 because one of them is our music, so I could do 23 sounds. I can reprogram it. Anyway, but you got to find the sounds. That's the part I have a hard time finding, because I went to their website and they want like $7 a sound that you download. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I can make them myself.
Okay.
But anyway, so realizing that there are people out there that do it differently than we do, and that epiphanal moment is where is the level of commitment for people when they want something, even working through their own ways of doing it, will just sit and wait and watch and don't set intentions and don't clear beliefs. And so it is, but they come to you wanting to be that person and aren't working the universal process.
Is there a question in there for me?
No.
Okay.
Are you being gun shy now because I told you to quit correcting me?
I'm not being gun shy, but why do you
Hello?
care? Why do you care what other people do?
Well, because they come to me.
It's not your business.
They come to
Okay,
me.
that's fine if they come to
Right.
you, but you still have to work within the
Their beliefs.
confines of where they're at.
I agree. I agree with that. Anyway, I want to get back on
And
topic, I guess.
what is the topic?
Empowering our thoughts. And teaching people to empower thoughts and how they can accept if because this happens to me all the time, is this same scenario. It repeats, it rinses and repeats, and I look at it and only, I went through all the negative stuff behind it, and the positive stuff is I think in their own way, they're asking me how to do it.
Okay, so let's look at it for a second, and you get to be in the hot seat.
Nope. I play it.
Okay, so if it rinses and repeats in your reality, it's for your benefit, not always just for theirs. You're putting those in place to either A, test yourself to see if you've changed, or B, to remind you of something that you need to be reminded of.
Okay.
And so if it's repeating in your reality, you still are only responsible for looking at yourself.
Agreed.
Not other people. And you're not doing anything for anybody else except reminding them of a vibrational frequency and showing them actions to remind them that they are powerful and that they can have and do the same things that you're having and doing if they choose to. You can't control anything that they are doing. And if they're not there, then they won't do anything with it. And who cares?
Right.
You can't really care what anybody does with the information that you bring to them. And we also have to remember, and this is for all of us, we are characters in people's plays all the time. So if you're inspired to say something to somebody, it's because at that very moment, you are the vehicle by which the message or the words come through from their higher self, because you can put it in a vibrational frequency that they can see it or hear it in the highest and best way at that time. It's not that you're doing anything for them. You're showing them what they already know, showing them and reminding them of, hey, here, remember this. This is how you do it. By verbally having an interaction or energetically having an interaction with them. And aside from that, if it's repeating in your own bubble, why is it? And it doesn't always have to be that it's showing you the negative side of things.
I agree.
It could be that it's reminding you of, hey, the positive side of it is you like to be recognized for living large. I don't know, you'll have to just kind of look at when we do this kind of work on ourselves, you're not just trying to find the negative beliefs that are no longer serving you. Sometimes you'll set up scenarios, and that's to remind you of what you wanted on your hamburger. Like you'll go back and try it again and say, in a confirmation way, okay, yeah, you're right. I want to revisit this and I want to experience it again because I can't really make a firm decision of, did I really want that or did I really not? I don't remember, or I was uncertain at the time. So let me put myself back through that to see, oh yeah, you know what? I did enjoy that, or I did enjoy this. And so sometimes you'll recreate that back in your reality so that you can see the positives of that and make it part of your reality on a regular basis. So I think overall, what I'm saying to everybody is, if things are repeating in your reality, it's not necessarily because you have some negative belief that you've got to find to reprogram. It could be that you are reminding yourself that you liked this part of it, remember? And remembering that. So you may be bringing it back in so you can experience the parts you did like. So in that, there's something that you may have liked or disliked, and it's just a reminder of that.
Okay.
Okay. Cue the crickets.
There was a lot in that, so I don't know what to say. I really just am kind of just in my head.
Can we have some crickets?
Oh, wait a minute, I had the wrong note. Okay. It's kind of in my head right now.
You took your tinfoil hat off, man. I'm sorry.
6 minutes of jumping on me.
I was not jumping on you. Don't be a baby.
Hey, I can be a baby if I want to be. It's my reality. I can be a baby.
It's my party and I'll be a baby if I want to.
That's right. It's my party.
It is your party.
It's my party.
And you can party like it's 1999 if you want.
Party like a rock star. Party like a rock star.
For sure.
Anyway, I agree with you. And there is things that repeat in my history, and sometimes it's giving myself a test. And sometimes there are things in it that I like, but then there are also times it shows me things I don't like.
So I guess
and there's also part of us in that I'm going to need you to stop. There's a part of this too that we signed up to help others in this.
No.
And what?
You signed up.
Are you doing it again?
Play
Listen,
character, lady. Yes.
I know. Let me finish my thought. And we agreed with the universe to help people, which is why we started the Merc, which is why we, coach and counsel people. And it's in our reality, and you can shake your head no all you want.
I disagree.
Well, this is my opinion. This is my party.
Okay.
And sometimes those people come into our reality and show us things that they need instructions and help on. And they need, or because they're stuck, or because they don't know. You talk about the kindergarten level stuff, and sometimes that's how they come. They come in ways looking for assistance and looking for help in nonchalant ways. In my world, anyway. Maybe not in your world, but in my world, that happens a lot.
Okay.
And yes, this is not it does come into my reality because it is something that I have created. Which what I've created is that open door for people to come to me to ask for help.
Okay.
And yes, sometimes it shows me things, but yes, also on the other side of that, sometimes it's them looking for things that they have put me into their bubble to show them. And doing that in the empowered way is what I was trying to talk about.
Well, I will agree with that, the empowered way, which is doing it because it's joyful and it's exciting, but that's a much different energy than doing it from a place of, this is my assignment, I have to do it, drudgery, blah, blah, blah.
No, it's
like
not.
That's two different energies.
Was I putting out that energy?
A little bit. That's what I was disagreeing with, was the energy from where you're coming. The energy of, I got to help these people and I've got to fix them, is a much different energy than, I am going to do this thing because it brings me excitement and joy, because it will toggle your perspective of, okay, I have got to help this person achieve this thing. And if they don't listen to me, and if they don't, then I am disappointed, or I am frustrated because they're not listening and they're not doing. And that's a much different energy than doing it because it's enjoyable to do it. And whatever they do with the information that you're bringing forth through your vessel from their higher self is their business, and you detach an expected outcome from that because it still is their choice at the end of the day. And so I would just be cautious about which energy frequency you're coming from, because if you run around here thinking that it's your job to fix the whole world, and
I am Superman,
and you're supposed to be some superhero, You'll
have a
run
cape.
yourself ragged. That's a different energy frequency. And then you'll recreate constant trauma drama from that level of energy. That's all I'm saying. Do it because it's fun and because you enjoy it.
I do.
And not from a place of having to do it to fix the world because the world is in a hot mess or this person is in a hot mess, because you'll do just what you did, which is to be bothered because people are not wanting to put forth the action steps to make their reality like yours, which is enjoyable. Because at the end of the day, whether they do or don't, shouldn't have any kind of an emotional weight on you at all.
Okay. And I mean, I agree with that. And I wasn't trying to put off that energy. So I don't know. That wasn't the energy I was putting off. It was more of, for me, it was more of a curiosity energy that I thought I was putting off. And I'll have to stop and look at it now. But I thought a curiosity way is I don't want to teach them to live grandiose until I can teach them to properly empower their own in reality and through their own thought processes and do that in the simplest simplest manner possible.
Well, it's a case by case thing. It's not a generalized thing. You have to take each individual because first of all, you've got to ascertain where they're at. And then you give them the frequency and possible action steps they could try if they work for them in going about getting from point A to point B of where they're wanting to go or
Right.
where they think they're wanting to go.
Right.
And then at that point, your part in it is over and done with. And if they come back to you for more information, great and wonderful, you do the same thing. But if they don't, and they don't ever do anything with the information, you can't carry around the burden of, gosh, they're lazy, or why didn't they do anything with it, or why don't they want to live the way I live? It's so much better because they may not be there. They may not be able to. They may not be ready. They may not be. I mean, there's a million reasons why. It just may not be time on their journey. You may have been supposed to give them the information for a different part of their journey. And because of where they're at, it's going to take them 2.5 years to marinate with and process the information you gave them because that's their journey. I mean, you just have to be relaxed about it. And
No, I totally agree. And that's the energy I was trying to come from, is more of a curiosity thing. And so I'm going to check in with if I was coming off with this, begrudging energy. That's not where I was trying to be with it. But I just want the spiritual guidance because not all of us channel. Well, we may channel, but we just don't know we are channeling.
I was going to say, I'm going to correct you on it. I'm going to stop you and correct you because everybody channels.
Okay. I was correcting myself. The ability that people don't recognize, because if they all channel, everybody does channel, and when they channel, they don't recognize it as channeling, and they don't listen to the thoughts. Sometimes they confuse their monkey mind for their channeled thoughts, and it is like I just had this conversation the other day with one of the individuals, and he was like, I don't know, sometimes. I said, does your inner voice not even tell you anything? And he said, well, sometimes, but sometimes I don't know to listen to it because that inner voice has run me the wrong way before. And I was like, well, that's monkey mind. That's different. And teaching them to be empowered is what, in the simplest way, is where I was trying to take this. And I just keep screwing up today.
Oh, good God. Don't be dramatic.
I'm a screw up.
You're being a little bit dramatic today. A little salty. Don't know what's going on, but it's all good. We're going to love you anyway.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to get my topic across because I'm not doing a very good job of it today. Okay. I don't know why.
Well, let's just take a breath and begin again.
We don't have time today. We have appointments.
Oh, so you've put yourself under a time constraint.
No, I'm playing. I was just making a joke. That was funny. I don't have a time constraint.
Okay.
Well, we both have appointments, but it's not really a constraint.
Okay.
But anyway, so where do we get the information as spiritual beings when other people come to us, and if we don't know the script, if it be it our script or their script, where do we get the information to share the answer that they are seeking or that we're supposed to give them? That would cue Dr. Jenny.
Okay, so just to clarify what it is you're wanting to know. Geppetto. Was that the name of the cricket? Geppetto? No, that was the...
You mean Jiminy Cricket?
Jiminy Cricket, yeah.
Geppetto, where'd you get that from?
I think that's... Isn't that the...
Isn't that an Ewok?
No. That's Pinocchio's dad's name, isn't it? Geppetto? Because didn't the cricket live on Pinocchio?
I don't know.
Jiminy Cricket was part of Pinocchio's thing.
I remember when I was a kid, my grandpa used to always say, "Holy Jiminy Crickets." And he wouldn't cuss.
I thought the cricket's name was Geppetto. Now I'm going to go buy a cricket and I'm going to name him Geppetto.
Your cats will kill it.
Not if I put him in a cage. If I go buy one from the pet store that was born in captivity anyway.
You know, their lifespan's only like 12 days.
I feel like I could get them to live longer than that.
Okay. Okay. Anyway.
Okay. So, what was the question exactly? Where does the information...
Where do we get that information?
You are giving to yourself and other people?
Or others.
Or just
when we don't
other
know the
people?
script and somebody approaches us, or where does that information come from? And how do we translate it in a way that makes sense and empowers other people?
Well, so first of all, you got to just kind of relax, because the mechanism of being whatever it is you were set up to be for that person is an automatic thing. And so if you're inspired to answer a question or provide information to an individual who has come to you seeking information, that always comes from the higher self of that person. It doesn't come from your higher self. It comes from the person's higher self.
Okay.
Even if it's monkey mind, and that's the paradox in it and kind of the rabbit hole part of it. We teach that there's a monkey mind and that there's a spiritual mind. But we teach that so that on an elementary level, people can understand the difference in the two different vibrations and frequencies. The reality is that if you're having monkey mind thoughts, they are put there to continue to help you have an experience that you wanted to have in the most authentic way, and they serve the purpose. And in the right timing, I promise you, your higher self will get you where you need to go in whatever way it needs to when you need to get there. I promise you, higher self always has your back. Even if you're at a place where you're only partially awakened and you got a lot of monkey mind stuff going on, there will be an awakening moment, an epiphanal moment where you're given that person, place, thing, circumstance, or event that will bring you to the point in time that you intended to be at when you intended to be there. Higher self will not fail you on that. I promise you.
Okay.
And so if it was meant to happen, it will happen.
Okay.
So in answer to your question, that information, it comes from their higher self.
Okay.
It comes from them. I think everybody with this podcast needs to watch that movie with Michael McConaughey, Interstellar, where he's the astronaut.
All right.
He's the astronaut, and he comes back in time to give himself messages about how to save the planet.
Oh, yeah.
That will bring about a better view of what I'm talking about. You're constantly, you are your own informational gateway. You just make it look like different characters in your dream state or in your virtual reality that you're creating so that you can better see and hear the information coming through, because you've created a situation where you're not willing, this is rabbit hole stuff, I'm sorry,
Okay.
where you're not willing to trust in your own abilities of bringing yourself the nuggets of information. And so you bring it in, wolf in sheep's clothing. You give it different character faces and stuff, and the different frequencies of the information. And because we can't wrap our head around the fact that everything is happening simultaneously, and that I can actually leave this moment in time and go into this moment in time in the future, so to speak, on a linear basis, and bring myself information and me look like myself. We can't wrap our head around that yet. You'll have that look like a completely different human being with a different face who can bring you that information, but it still is you bringing the information in for that person. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Or does that go too wonky?
It brought up a memory for me.
Okay.
When I don't remember, I was in high school still. I had one of our teachers in school. She was doing a substitute teaching for the personal development courses that I was taking. It was actually a course called personal development. And it was more about kind of the stuff that we address now. Back then.
Really?
Yeah, it was in school.
Wow.
It was in school. I mean, because of where I went to school, it was kind of part of the allowed spiritual classes. But
yeah.
She was substituting a class, and she said that when she was in school, their teacher had them.
Wow, these substitutes can get away with anything.
Her teacher told her to write a letter to yourself and telling yourself what your dreams are, what your goals are, or whatever that is.
Yeah.
And bring it to class the next day with $10 from your parents.
Okay.
And the next day, it wasn't $10. It was, when she repeated it, it was $10. But I don't know what she did back then. And inside this, they brought 2 envelopes with 2 stamps. And one envelope, they took their letter to themselves and they stuck it in their envelope with a stamp. Mm. And then in the other envelope, they took the envelope that they have filled and they wrote a letter to a random person that said, "Hey, sorry to bother you with this day, but I would like to know if you would mail this back to me on this date. And for your time and trouble, I have put a stamp on the envelope, and here's $10 for you to take it to the post office," or whatever that was. But don't do it until this date, if you would. And lo and behold, she had forgotten about it, and it got mailed to her parents' house 9 years later. I don't know if the person forgot about it or what, but I think she said she had put 5, and the person had forgot about it, and they mailed it back to her. And in that was that 9-year reflection of where she was back then and where she is now.
Okay.
And it's kind of that same thing. You're talking about that rabbit hole thing. But it brought up that story to me because we actually did that. And I never got my letter back. I just thought of that. It just popped in my head with you bringing up that rabbit hole topic of us leaving ourselves clues. And it was a thought, because I'd like to read that letter. I don't even remember what was on it.
Yeah. And so now that we're on the topic, I can go a little bit more into the rabbit hole thing. That's why I have all my clients. That's why I heavily suggest journaling, because you're doing basically that same concept is, and some people will do what's called automatic writing. It does that very same thing.
Yeah.
Go into a mind space of just freeing yourself of thoughts and all of that of the day, sit down and just write mindlessly, or set the intention that you're going to write yourself a little love note, and then go back on occasion and read those entries. Because, and don't do it from like just flip through the book and see what page it lands on. Higher self has your back, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You'll go to the exact page and you'll be astounded at how the words on that page are exactly what you needed to hear at that moment. And they're your own words and your own information that you wrote down. And that's part of why I tell people, sit around and just journal some stuff and write it down, and then go back and look at it, go back and read it, go back and I do it all the time. And it's just crazy on how you can watch yourself grow, especially in those moments when you think, gosh, things seem so slow and stagnant. I have gotten nowhere. Go back and read where you were.
Yeah.
Or there's little beautiful golden nuggets of beautiful information from yourself in exactly that way you just described, where you're actually writing a message down that you need later.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting,
fun game.
I agree. It was an interesting thought back then, and because you know how they find out, she actually got phone books. And she said just randomly pick somebody out of the phone book.
Yeah.
And that's how we found they literally just randomly pick somebody. And it's kind of that's kind of how life is in the spiritual world, is it's kind of random, and it comes at us in ways that we don't think about, and then surprises you. And then there's ways that we do think about and it don't surprise you. And it is a great way of doing is journaling and giving yourself clues for life, and being able to stop and look at yourself when you do read that clue and get curious about life, and being open and receptive to being corrected on national radio, and without being a baby.
Oh my God. Cue the diaper change.
I'm just playing. I was just throwing that in there. No, really, our life is really a lot of fun when it comes to this. We play around a lot. So.
I'll be curious to see if you get the letter now that you...
I just thought of that. How cool would that be? I was in sophomore in high school, I think. Either sophomore or freshman. It may have been my freshman year.
I'll be curious to see if the letter shows up now.
Because it's going to... Well, you've seen... We went to my childhood home, and it's still got our address and name on the mailbox.
Yeah.
And those people know my family. Right. Because my grandpa sold the house to the neighbor.
Yeah.
And so I would be curious to know if that just randomly shows up somewhere.
Yeah.
It would be cool to read that. Because, we typed it on typewriters.
Now you're showing your age.
Yeah, it was funny.
That's almost to that point of chiseling your hieroglyphs.
Yeah, because it was typed and dated, and we had to sign it. Speaking of signatures, they don't teach kids how to sign anymore.
I know, isn't that crazy?
I mean, that was crazy. Like we have an employee that's in senior in high school and doesn't know how to do a signature.
Yeah, several of them, because so we have to do our annual re-education stuff, for the company. And I was having them, there's a little paper we fill out where I take a sign-in sheet, basically, is what it is. And you print and sign. And
it was crazy. I just learned how to do this in school. They were
so concentrated on trying to do a signature. And I think it was you that said, something about that, and he said, yeah, they don't teach us how to do cursive writing.
Right. He said he's learning it in finance class.
In school. And so
in finance class, what they're teaching you how to do
was basically printing.
Yeah.
And then his print was printing. Yeah, isn't that is crazy?
Yeah, and in finance class.
Yeah.
Because your signature is part of, he's like, I guess, identifying documents for finance or something. Right. I don't know. But what? Yeah, what is our world doing?
I don't know what that's about.
Because printing names, I guess there's identifying marks in printing names too. They could do it, but
Well, even back in our time and now, literally, you can sign the letter X and that can be your signature. Like, there's no rule, really.
can I change my name to X? That'd be cool. I think I want to be double X.
You can if you want to. Would we call you double X or would we just...
I think I want everybody to call me XX. XX.
X squared or
XX.
X to the second power?
No, XX. I want to be called XX.
I was just giving you all the different options.
That would be fun.
XX.
Yeah. XX.
Okay.
What's your name? XX. And yours? It's like, I was watching this show on YouTube the other day, and these two young kids, they're 20 and 21. The woman was 20, he was 21. They actually changed their last name to Shabusiness. And so, it changed the first name to You Don't Wanna. And I don't remember what he changed his name to, but it was like, You Don't Want to Shabusiness.
What?
Yeah, it's like, it's your business. Wait, I don't know. It was funny. Like it's none of your business. It's none of your business. I don't know. It's funny. I don't know why they changed their name, but they did.
Okay.
That was random.
It was Random Man. That's another button opportunity.
It's Random Man. They used to be on Kid Credit in the morning.
Yeah.
And Big Al Mack in Dallas. I miss him. He died on a golf course in Louisiana. But Big Al Mack and what was her name?
There's that.
What was her name? The girl? Big Al Mack. I can't remember her name.
I don't remember.
Anyway, they continued the show, and I guess it's still doing well.
I guess.
Anyway, well, so what do you think? You complete today?
I'm good. Yeah.
Did I train wreck the podcast today?
We'll see. We'll see what the numbers tell us. I feel like this one is just out of control. Like, I don't even know.
Random podcast day. We're going to talk about random topics.
Yeah.
Next on the agenda is, why is your car pink?
Okay.
It's a random. Anyway, okay. Well, anyway, guys, we appreciate y'all listening and tuning in. And sorry if this was a little weird of a podcast, because I'm okay with being on the hot seat, though. I was just giving you a hard time and rattling our cage a little bit.
Sometimes we just got to go wonky.
Yeah, and that's okay, because we have wonkiness, too. Because we're people, too. I know that's hard to believe, but we are people, too.
You sure you're not an alien? Oh, God. Lord help me.
I appreciate y'all.
You're actually part of the hybrid race. Just saying.
I am hybrid. I am on the hybrid side. If y'all will like, follow, and share our podcast. Hey, don't forget to tell your friends about it. And look us up on social media at the Merck Centers. And we do a tip on Tuesdays on our social media accounts. And you may learn something in those because they're pretty good.
Yeah, I usually do a monthly herbal rendition of the herb of the month. Fixing to start some...
You're fixing to?
I'm fixing to start some
meditation. You ain't country. You're fixing to start a meditation?
I'm fixing to start recording some meditation stuff.
Oh, nice. You know, I learned that you can actually record your book on here and then put it over there and put it on the...
Yeah, we're both working on a book. So.
Yeah, I'm about ready to start actually typing mine out. I'm not going to type it. I'm going to use AI because it does.
You have a robot that types for you?
It's a software program that you take your voice translation and it puts it on paper for you.
Nice.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
You know, doctors have been doing that for a minute. It's called dictation.
Yeah, but they had somebody sitting there going on their little dictator machines.
Yeah.
Little dictator.
I don't know why that tickled your funny bone.
What a dictator. Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
Don't be a dictator. Sorry. That brought back some old memories too. Anyway, all right. Hey, don't forget to look at on our website too.
I mean, another name for that would be bangers and mash.
Bangers and mash. I can't even say that. You have it better. You're so good at doing accents. I suck at them. I need to practice. I think I'm too country.
And the random continues.
I think I'm too country.
We're way far out there.
We are.
We're floating in space right now.
Hey, look up our website, guys, at www.themerccenters.org. That is spelled THEMERCCENTERS.org, and send us an email, like, follow, share, leave comments if you want anything, and whatever you need. Just, we're open.
You want them to ring the bell?
Yes. For what?
Notification.
When
we put another podcast out.
And it's also on our website too. You can actually subscribe to the podcast through our website, and it'll send you a link telling you it's ready. And
the blogs and stuff?
Blogs are on there. Yep. Blogs are there.
I see.
Yep. We have our blog on there every day or every week, 2 or 3 times a week sometimes. I'm
not incredibly informed on it because we have our wonderful little social media gal, Chloe. She is amazing, who does all that for us. So
don't forget to call and leave us a message. We will work with you personally, and we'll have some fun doing it. Anyway, love y'all.
Love ya.
Have an awesome day.